सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति देव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। एक फोल्डर ले आओ हैंड आओ। Let us recite the verses from 14 अन्नाद् भवन्ति भूतानि पर्जन्यादन्न संभवः यज्ञाद् भवति पर्जन्यः यज्ञः कर्म समुद्भवः कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षर समुद्भवम् तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम् एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रम् नानुवर्तयति हयः अघायुरिन्द्रिया रामः मोघं पार्थ स जीवते. In the last verse we were told, evam pravartitam chakram. This chakram, the wheel, the cosmic wheel, evam pravartitam, which is set into motion in this manner. So Lord Krishna described how a cosmic wheel is set into motion, because of which the entire universe runs. And that is the chakra, the wheel of yajna. So Lord Krishna is the word yajna earlier. Tadartham karma kaunteya. Hey kaunteya, hey Arjun, tadartham yajnartham karma kuru. May you perform your actions for the sake of yajna, which Adi Shankaracharya Bhashyakar explained, yajnyoe Vishnu. Yajna means Vishnu, the Lord. Tadartham karma kaunteya, he kaunteya. Therefore, may you perform all your actions for the Lord, meaning may you perform all your actions in the spirit of worship of Lord. Why is it so? Yajnarthat karmana anyatra. Whenever an action is performed in a spirit other than the spirit of worshipping the Lord, lokoyam karma bandhanaha, then this person becomes bound by karma. A karma or an action that is performed in a spirit other than the spirit of worshipping the Lord. Meaning, if you perform the action in the spirit of worshipping the Lord, that becomes a freeing action. On the other hand, perform an action in a spirit other than worshipping the Lord, other than offering the Lord, it becomes a binding action. So very simple rule is given by Lord Krishna. Very fundamental law is given here. How to conduct ourselves in our day-to-day life? Because action, well, by Lord, of course by action is meant here the daily and incidental obligated duties that are enjoined by the scriptures. But action can be any activity, any action performed. Yat karoshi yadashnasi, whatever you do, late Lord Krishna says, whatever you do, as long as adharma, as long as it's not adharma, meaning that what you do does not violate the dharma, does not violate the basic order of righteousness, of what is right. So long any action that you perform, even when you perform an action that is righteous, understand? Because by the word karma, Lord Krishna means only a righteous action. Karmanyavadikaraste, it is your duty to perform karma, which means righteous action. So dharma is taken for granted. Can you raise the volume a little bit? I don't seem to get the feedback, although it may be psychological problem more than an actual problem. Because Arjuna is already established in dharma. And in spite of being established in dharma, he is still grieving. So he is still bound in samsara. So his dharma, righteousness is very important in life. it is not adequate to release us from the sorrow or from what they call the samsara, the cycle of birth and death. We need something more than the righteousness in our life. By righteousness, we mean values. One should be honest, one should be truthful. These values are taken for granted. That's the very first step, of course. But Bhagavad Gita, and that is what Karma Kanda teaches us, the Veda. The Karma Kanda Veda teaches us that. But Lord Krishna takes us a step further, and that is, not only should action be dharmic or righteous, yajnarthat, it should be performed in the spirit of offering to the Lord, which is often translated as selfless action, nishkama karma, or action that is free from any self-centeredness. Meaning that we can perform a righteous action which may be self-centered, which may be for self-gratification, for self-promotion, for ego gratification and sense gratification. The Vedas, the Karma Kanda section of Veda, does not prohibit us from seeking dharma, artha, kama, where kama is a sense gratification, a gratification in general. Dharma means, artha means ego gratification, or wealth, prosperity, name and fame. And dharma means seeking pleasures in the other world, in the heaven. So dharma, artha, kama are the three purushartha, the three human ends basically, which are addressed by the Karma Kanda, for which the Karma Kanda section of Veda prescribes many daily and incidental obligatory duties. That's called dharma. So what dharma itself is described or defined as that which is enjoined by the Vedas. So what the Vedas enjoin is called dharma. And therefore what is righteous is understood for being qualified for the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. Because Gita is moksha shastra. Dharma, artha, kama, those three purusharthas can be attained by being a righteous person. But dharma has many meanings. The one meaning of our dharma is the purushartha, which is dharma, which is heaven. Other meaning of our dharma is religion, is translated that. There are many meanings. Other meaning of the word dharma is righteousness, doing what is right, in keeping with the very order of the universe. But then comes the fourth purushartha, the moksha. And to prepare ourselves for that, even when we are performing our duties, the daily and incidental obligatory duties called nitya naimittika karmas, then also Lord Krishna says that even that action can also be binding action. If even a righteous action also is performed for the purpose of self-gratification. By self-gratification, we mean sense gratification, or emotional gratification, or intellectual gratification, or ego gratification. Yajnasat karmanonyatra lokoyam karmabandhanaha. A karma or an action, even a righteous action also, perform in a spirit other than spirit of worship. So thus we have two altars of worship. One is the common altar of worship, which is ego, which is myself. Other is the altar of worship called Ishvara, or God. So now Lord Krishna says that Tadartham karma kaunteya, may you perform an action for pleasing Ishvara, not for pleasing this ego, pleasing Ishvara. Because any action performed, even a righteous action also, for pleasing ego becomes a binding action. That self-gratification is like a fire. More you try to satisfy that, more demanding it becomes, and that's how you become more and more bound. Meaning that you find yourself more and more needy. Because gratification is what one wants, and seeking to satisfy the need of happiness or gratification by satisfying this individual self or the ego only increases the thirst for gratification. The needs only keep on growing. I become more and more needy, more and more dependent. That is called bondage. Yajnasat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. An action performed in the spirit other than worshipping the Lord is a binding action. Meaning it perpetuates the cycle of action, karma, karma phala, karma. Action, reaction, action, reaction. That chain perpetuates. And therefore, you're never free from that chain. Never free from dependence. Never free from being controlled. So how to become free from being controlled by my needs? I have overcome these impulses of adharma by adharma becoming a righteous person. And still the righteous needs, you may call some needs the unrighteous needs, of course, that have been overcome. But you have 5 organs of perception, there are 5 objects of perception. And therefore, as long as you satisfy the craving of the sense organs by righteous means, so long it's okay as far as dharma is concerned. You are a religiously legal person. Meaning that you won't wind up in heaven, in hell. You may even qualify to go to heaven. But the Vedas say that, Upanishad says that even going to heaven also is nothing but the golden shackles. The Naraka or the hell we call the iron shackles. Heaven we call the golden shackles, but shackles nevertheless. What is a shackle? Being dependent, being needy. The kind of needs change when you go to heaven. But then you remain needy. And you cannot remain having permanently in heaven. Kshene punya maritalokam vishanti. If you run out of your wealth of punya or merit, then you come back again, you start that cycle all over again. Gatagatam kama kama labhante. Kama kama, those who are driven by the desires, gatagatam labhante, they attain a state of going and coming, meaning this, the whole sorrow go round, as our Swami would say. surely you are more comfortable than those who are, who are compromising dharma. No doubt about that. You don't have any discomforts. But as the Swami used to say, what's the difference between the people in India and people in the United States? In United States, people are comfortably miserable. In India, they are uncomfortably miserable. In US, they are comfortably miserable. So difference between discomfort and comfort, but not in sense of misery, which is dependence, the sense of limitation, the neediness. And that is called bondage. So Vedanta is addressing that very fundamental need of the human being. Pleasure is not the fundamental need, becoming free is the fundamental need. Pleasure and happiness accompanied with freedom. Sarvam paravasham dukkham. But dukkha or unhappiness, paravasham. Wherever there is paravashata, dependence, helplessness, that is dukkha. Dukkha means unhappiness. So dependence itself is unhappiness. Then it may be further confounded by other kinds of pains and aches and pains. But basically in the mind, the sense of dependence, that I need this, I cannot do without a given thing, itself is dukkha. Sarvam atmavasham sukham. Where there is atmavashata, where there is freedom, then that is sukham. So, happiness accompanied with freedom. There can be happiness accompanied with bondage and happiness accompanied with freedom. So when you perform in a righteous action, you may find happiness. But as long as that action is performed in a spirit other than worshipping Ishvara, it is not happiness without bondage, without dependence. It is happiness with dependence. It is unhappiness in fact. Because if dependence is unhappiness, then so-called happiness is nothing but some kind of intoxication, where we sort of become unaware of the dependence which is bothering us. And so it intoxicates us. And we feel that we are okay. As soon as the intoxication of the sense pleasure goes away, then we come back to the same dependence, needs, bondage. Meaning that there was this need or bondage before this experience of happiness. The Sava acquired a desirable object and enjoyed it. And there is a need or dependence at the end of that experience also. You follow? Every experience of pleasure, sense pleasure, or ego gratification is preceded by a need, which I fulfill and I get something. And when that experience gets over, again it is followed by a need and a need. So Vedanta's rule is Adavante jannasti vartamane vitattatha. What is not there in Adi and what is not there in Anta is not there in the present also. Meaning that before the experience of the pleasure there was need or dependence or dukkha. At the end of that thing also there is need of dukkha. So when there is dukkha in the beginning, dukkha in the end, in the middle also there is dukkha only, except that we don't see it. And so this dukkha, the bondage has to be very well understood. We can delude ourselves by intoxicating ourselves in various kinds of pleasures or distractions and escape from ourselves or confronting ourselves. But it will force you to confront yourself anyway. in between when I'm intoxicated, I don't have to confront myself. I think that my inadequate self has disappeared. It's gone away. It doesn't go away, it just is there in the background. In the olden days, the Swami was fond of saying, I want, I want, I want. It's like this Shruti. Like the drone which is playing in the background. And when you play raga, then the drone is there, but the musician hears, but you don't hear. As soon as raga is over again, that drone comes back. I want, I want. In between there is a raga. A desire is fulfilled. And so, that background drone of I want is not heard. But as soon as the raga is over, the desire is satisfied, we again get back to I want, I want, I want. That want or lack itself is dependence, bondage. And so the fundamental teaching begins in Bhagavad Gita. Tadasam karma kaunteya mukta sangas samachara. Hey kaunteya, you perform the action tadartham ishvarartham as an offering for pleasing the Lord, as an offering to the Lord. Sometimes called nishkama karma, selfless action, or action without desire. There is always a desire behind the action. So desireless action can only be interpreted as action that is free from the self-centered desire. That's all we can call desireless action. Because the action has a purpose. And there is a purpose before performing an action. And therefore, all we can say is that it is desire, meaning it is the free from self-centered desire. It is replaced by another desire. What's the desire? It is the Ishvara-centered desire, or the desire to please Ishvara. Understand that Bhagavad Gita unfolds elaborately what the nature of Ishvara is. That he is the creator as well as the creation. He is both the material as well as the efficient cause. What is himself. So that Ishvara's understanding also is given subsequently. Swakarmana tamavarcha siddhim vindati manava yatah pravrittiribhutana yena samidam tatam. Ishvara is the one who impels, who is the very source of impelling all the activities. Like electricity impels the activity of fans and bulbs, so also Ishvara is the one that impels all the activities. Who is all pervading with the self of all. That Ishvara may you please with your actions. So this is what Lord Krishna teaches in the 3rd chapter of the Gita. Mainly to encourage and enthuse and inspire Arjuna to perform not only action but right action. It's not that Lord Krishna wants Arjuna to act, but Lord Krishna wants Arjuna to act in the right manner. Because Arjuna has been a very active person. In spite of being an active person, he is still a miserable person. So simply action, in righteous action also. Generally, you would not compromise dharma. He is not Yudhishthira, of course. So it's never that Arjuna would never compromise dharma. There are stories about Arjuna as well. Basically, a righteous person. Righteousness made him an accomplished person, but not a free person. He's still grieving. So you call this selfless action or other-centered action, whatever simple word of Puja Swami you say, being a contributor. In that contributor also Ishvara comes, that's a better way also. Meaning, because there should be clarity of who I am contributing to, who I am benefited from, and who I am contributing to. And then Lord Krishna also taught how the entire universe also functions on the spirit of the yajna. Here the word yajna was interpreted as Ishvara, but yajna also is interpreted as a result of an action performed in the spirit of worship of Ishvara. So yajna can mean a karma which is performed as an offering to Lord. Yajna can also mean the result of that karma. So in the verses that we read, Annat bhavanti bhutani parajanyad anna sambhavaha. So Lord Krishna says how this selfless action, not just karma, how dedicated action, the various translations like consecrated action, dedicated action, action in the spirit of self-sacrifice, which is what the whole universe follows. There is no self-centeredness anywhere other than human beings, particularly. I mean, as the evolution takes place, self-centeredness comes, no doubt about that. As far as nature is concerned, which is inert, there is no self-centeredness. Sun and the moon and stars and there is no self-centeredness at all, because there is no life there. When life comes, then these desires come. Jiji Visha, the desire to live, is the first desire that comes when life comes. When desire comes, then self-centeredness will come. As the life evolves, the self-centeredness also evolves. And human being, of course, the most evolved creature. And therefore, the self-centeredness also is most evolved. So it's no wonder that we are self-centered. We are born self-centered people. We are born to the desire to live because there is natural love for life. There is nothing wrong in having love for life. What is wrong is not only we are born with this, we are born with ignorance. The love for life transcends itself in love for the body and the perpetuating of the body. This is where the problem is. Living is equal to breathing, equal to the life force. And therefore, our love to live transcends itself as the love for perpetuating the body. Because I believe that I am because the body is. Even though the reality is, body is because I am. What I think is, I am because the body is. When there is love to be, which is natural, the to be is equal to the body. Therefore, love to be becomes translated as love for the body, love for the perpetuating of the body. And then body also includes sense organs and mind. And that's how a variety of desires are created, they pop up. Avidya, kama, karma, basis is avidya, ignorance. So there is ignorance everywhere. But ignorance is most evolved in human being, understand? Everybody else is ignorant, but nobody suffers because of ignorance. Human being suffers because of ignorance also. Everybody else suffers for hunger and thirst and heat and cold, and that kind of suffering is there in all the living beings. Depends upon the extent to which they are sensitive to those things. Elephant may not be as sensitive to cold and heat as we are, maybe, but then it also has its own suffering coming from these natural, situations. The human being is most evolved and most sensitive. And therefore the self-centeredness also is most predominant in the human being. And further, because human being also has a free will, where he has the freedom to satisfy his desire of his need of self-centeredness, he can also violate, meaning that he can be violent also. Other creatures are self-centered all right, but then they do not violate the basic order of life. Whatever they do is within the order. Even the violence that we see in nature also does not transgress the order, meaning that it is still within keeping with the ecological order. That one life form depends on other life form that maintains the ecological balance. Only when human being comes, he is capable of imbalancing everything. And therefore the need to instruct him. Therefore Lord Krishna shows this cosmic wheel of how that spirit of offering or sacrifice is prevalent everywhere. Annat bhavanti bhutani. Anna means the food. Only when the food sacrifices itself and gets transformed, that it can result into bhutani, it can result into another life form. The food consumed by the parents, when it completely sacrifices itself and gets transformed as semen and blood, then only it can become the bhuta, can manifest as the creatures. First sacrifice is the sacrifice by food. Parajanyat anna sambhava. How does the food itself come into being? By the sacrifice of water, the rain. Parajanya, the rainwater sacrifices itself to get transformed into food. How does the rain come? Yajñāt bhavati parajanya. Because of yajna, because of a special kind of result of selfless action, that the rains come. In the universe, everywhere, these selfless actions are going on. When human being also performs yajna, the sacrifice, that's when the rain comes. So when human being performs an action of sacrifice, that is where the rain comes. So that is how Lord Krishna shows how this cycle of self-sacrifice is what keeps this whole universe running. And therefore, a human being is the only one that can throw a monkey wrench into the whole thing and can destroy everything. Because he alone has the freedom. Now that's another matter. The reason why Lord Krishna draws Arjuna's attention to this prevailing wheel of self-sacrifice is that is the ultimate dharma. So what is the ultimate dharma? If dharma is conducting myself in keeping with the prevailing order, then the prevailing order is the order of yajna. Yajna meaning the self-sacrifice. You can call it action performed in offering to the Lord. But these creatures don't know what Lord is. The rain doesn't know. The clouds do not know. Before that, the sun was performing his own sacrifice. Sun performs the sacrifice by heating this water in the rivers, oceans and reservoirs, and transforms that into vapor, and with the help of moon gets transformed into clouds and rain. So these are not conscious entities that we can think that they are consciously serving or worshipping Lord. But maybe they are. Who knows they are not? Who says they are not conscious? Sometimes it is said the whole universe is because it is a manifestation of consciousness only. But whatever. There is no subtle body in that sense, there is no consciousness. Therefore, the real dharma for human being becomes, if we have to follow the dharma, which is what is a cosmic wheel, which is what runs the whole universe, it is the dharma, the spirit of self-sacrifice or offering to Ishvara that really runs the whole universe. And whenever an action is performed in a spirit contrary to that, it becomes a destructive action, destroying oneself and destroying others also. So in the verse 16, Lord Krishna says, Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati hayah aghayurindriya ramaha mogham partha sajivati. Evam pravartitam chakram. Lord Krishna says, I have set this wheel into motion. This wheel of sacrifice that runs the whole universe is not an accident. Evam pravartitam chakram. This wheel has been set in motion, not a svabhavavada. Why is everything so? Because it is so. No reason at all. Svabhavavada. Is it an accident? Whatever it is, it is. But Vedanta doesn't say that. Whatever it is because Ishvara has done so. But Ishvara is not an individual. Ishvara is the cosmic, the universal wisdom. Puja Swami always used to point out the omniscience. Ishvara means omniscience, all knowledge. So the principle of omniscience, omnipotent, omnipresence, there is something that is all knowing, all powerful, all present. And that has set this wheel into motion. It's not an accident. Evam pravartitam chakram. The wheel that is set in motion in this manner, na anuvartayati ihayah. One who does not, in fact, conform to this wheel that is set in motion. Anuvartanam. Vartanam, conducting oneself. Anuvartanam, conducting oneself in keeping with something. So not only do we have to conduct ourselves, but then conduct ourselves in keeping with this motion that is set, the wheel that is set into motion by the Lord. But suppose I don't care to conform to this wheel, if there is no consequence, there is no punishment, then why should I even do anything? Here, to conform to this wheel is not easy. It is the most difficult thing to do. Because my natural tendency is the tendency of self-centeredness. Because of ignorance. Because of ignorance, I take what is non-self to be myself. The body is taken to be myself. The mind, intellect, ego is taken to be myself. So even though my desire is genuine, my desire to live forever is genuine, my desire to be happy is genuine, my desire to know everything is genuine, so the way I am trying to fulfill those desires are only creating misery, not knowing what the self is. The love for life, love to be is genuine. But as we said earlier, when I equate the body with myself, then to be becomes the existence of body. I want to perpetuate the existence of body. Desire for happiness is natural, but I think sense gratification is natural, so that's why I want to gratify senses. Desire for knowledge is something natural, but I think that more information I collect my intellect is knowledge, that's why I keep on collecting that. So where is my desire for knowledge, my desire for happiness, my desire for life, for immortality are natural desires. Why the natural? Because we are born with those desires. Not that someday I decided that I want to now be immortal, and until then I wanted to be immortal. I never wanted to be. Someday I decided I want to be knowledgeable. Before that I wanted to be ignorant. No, I never. Someday I decided I want to be happy. Before that I want to be unhappy. No. Always wanted to be happy. Always wanted to be wise. Always wanted to be alive. They are the uncultivated natural desires. The problem is the manner in which the human being is trying to fulfill those desires. It is not his fault. It is ignorance which creates this total confusion. The existence of body is my existence. The happiness of the ego is my happiness. The knowledge of the intellect is my knowledge. So then how to release him from this? Bhagavad Gita teaches the two-step process. The basic step is to know that what I take myself to be is not what I am. That what I am seeking to be is what I already am. That I want to be, well, being is my nature. I want to know, knowledge is my nature. I want to be happy, happiness is my nature. Simple as that. Even when we are told million times, hey, happiness you are, I like to hear that. You are immortal by nature. Unfortunately, it doesn't stay in my mind. My mind does not seem to be ready or mature enough to grasp that fact and benefit from that. Therefore, in order for this knowledge to take place, that maturity of mind or preparation of mind also is needed. A mind that favorably responds when it says, when I am told your happiness, it favorably responds. Why my happiness? I didn't realize that. Am I not? So therefore transformation of mind is important. That's called the Antakarana Shuddhi or purification of mind. And for that, this complete change of attitude is what Lord Krishna is teaching. Values we already know. Attitudes is what is teaching here in these chapters of Karma Yoga. As our Swami say, Karma Yoga is the yoga of attitude. And so this chakra is there, the wheel is there. Nanu vartayati iha, because the human being has the freedom not to follow the law. Other creatures do not have the freedom to violate the law, and therefore they automatically follow the law. Even in fulfilling the desire to live, they also have desire to live. They also have desire for gratification or pleasure. They have the desires. But they do not have the freedom to fulfill those desires by violating the law. We are the most evolved creature. So we have the free will, and therefore we have, at least to some extent, the freedom to violate the law and invite misery to ourselves. Why should Lord do that to us? Why has He given this free will to us? The free will is given us to make us free, really. But as with everything else, what can make us free can also bind us. What can make us happy can also make us unhappy. Anything, any medicine also that cures us can also kill us, I guess, if it's not taken in proportion. So free will also is like that. It's meant as a blessing to human being, but if abused, it can also become a great curse for the human being. So abuse of free will is our problem. Why do we abuse of free will? Because of inner pressure. And also Lord Krishna said, Nahi kasit kshanapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit karyate hyavashah karma sarva prakrutijair gunai. Even for a moment also the human being or any living being cannot remain inactive. Because he is pressurized from within. The discomfort that he feels with himself, the sense of lack or want that he feels with himself, the inadequacy that he feels within himself, that creates the needs, and that creates naturally the dependence on something. That is called the raga. And that creates dvesha also, the aversion, whenever something comes in the way of fulfilling that raga or desire. So raga and dvesha are the grossest manifestation of ignorance. And they create the pressure. Raga creates the pressure to acquire and experience something that is desired, that is thought to be desirable. And dvesha creates the pressure of getting rid of something or avoiding something that is thought to be undesirable. This desirable, undesirable themselves are very subjective views, which are all subject to change even for myself also. But any one point in time, there's always some raga dvesha inside that pressurizes me to do something. And so I don't have freedom not to do things. When I do that, if I don't follow the order, then again I hurt myself. And so Lord Krishna says that person is going to do something or the other. But nanu vartayati ayaha, one who does not conform to this cosmic wheel of dharma or yajna. The ultimate dharma is yajna. Ultimate dharma is nothing but the self-offering, self-sacrifice. Aghayu, Lord Krishna is quite strict. I mean, what shall I say? This is quite strict or clear or Aghayu, Indriya Rama, Mogam Partha Sajivati. Not out of anger, but then out of anger he says, Aghayu, he lives his life only a sinful life. Mogam Partha, his life is nothing but a waste. Why is it so? What are the characteristics of a person who lives a sinful life, whose life is waste? Indriya Rama, Indriya Arama. So asamanta dramate, one who only revels in the sense pleasures of the pleasure of sense organs. So this text always talk about sense pleasure. What is most condemned is this the attachment of sense pleasure. So we think that only sense pleasures alone, but don't they include everything else? They include every kind of need for gratification. Because many people don't care for sense gratification. They don't care for good food. They don't care for many things. They are engrossed with some other things. They are engrossed with intellectual gratification, engrossed with ego gratification. Who has time in this time of election? Who has time to eat or drink or watch movies? Nothing. Well, 18 hours a day traveling in so many locations. Some other thing is there, the ego gratification, the thirst for power, the thirst for whatever. So Indriya Arama means one. Asushu Ramante iti Asuraha, those who revel always in the sense pleasure are called the Asuras or demons, but not only sense pleasure, self gratification. And the worst of it is ego gratification. The last to go is ego gratification. Indriya Rama. So those who are reveling in the self-gratification. A person who lives a life of self-gratification lives life in vain. Even though he may be a righteous person, understand. Lord Krishna does not necessarily talk about a person who is violating the basic values of life with the wrong attitude, out of ignorance. Why is he wasting his life or living life in vain? Because the purpose of life is for moksha. And he is wasting away in this dharma artha kama. And that also we can say that a person lives life in vain. Because again he'll come back and start all over again. And unfortunately, when we come back, we come with the same tendencies or samskaras or what we did in the past, and we may be likely to follow the same pattern again. Mogam Partha Sajivati. See, in all these verses, Lord Krishna emphasizes the karma to be performed in the spirit of yajna. Not only Lord Krishna teaches Arjuna to perform action. It is very clear, of course. Karma jayo hya karmana sharira yatra vishate na prasiddhyet akarmana. That to be active is at any rate better than being inactive. To participate is better than non-participating. Because if you do not participate in the scheme of the things, then you will not get the benefit that the universe is giving to you, and then you can't even survive. It's not just karma that Lord Krishna is teaching. It is the yajna that Lord Krishna is teaching. Dharma is taught by the karma kanda. But karma is yajna is what is being taught by the Bhagavad Gita. And what is the reward? If you follow this life of yajna, what is the reward? That is what is being described in the following verses, which is where we are supposed to begin, I guess, our classes. So let me take a break here and give you a break, and we'll continue after the tea break.